Today we're going to talk about the basic tools that we'll be using to make jewelry. So in your toolbox you have a variety of tools, so if you'll go through it with me. These are cutters. So cutters have this shape kind of to a point. They have a flat side and a round side. When you go to cut any work, you'll want the flat side next to it, and sometimes you have to get in tight. Having that pointed side towards your work is very helpful. So these are your cutters. Round nose pliers. They're used for making round shapes like loops. If you look at them, it looks like two cone shapes, perfectly round on all sides, which makes them a little different from the others. You can make loops in different sizes, but any type of curve type thing with wire, that's what we'll be using, are the round nose pliers. Square flat nose. Anytime you need to hold on to wire or if you need to flatten something out, these would be good to use for that. Any type of, if you need to do a sharp edge, these would be really good for that, like a 90-degree angle, you could use them for that as well. I myself use the pointed flat nose more often. So these are flat on the inside, but they come to a triangle, so it's easy to hang on to something very close. I feel like it's easier to work on smaller objects. I prefer these. We will refer to these a lot. They kind of look like a bird beak if you look at them because it's flat on the inside, they're rounded on the outside. That's how you tell the difference. We also have the bent flat nose. We don't use these necessarily in our class, but they are used for different things. You might just need to hang on to something at a different angle. In a pinch, these would work just like the other ones for the most of the things we'll do in class. So these are a bent flat nose. These are your crimpers. There's probably only one in each box. They're either a blue handle or the pink handle. We'll be doing crimps later on. These can also be used to round wraps and tuck the tail in. There's two different slots you'll see. One's kind of an oval and one's sort of a kidney shape. We'll refer to those later, but these are your crimpers. And there's one other set of tools in your box that are not on the list. I call this one the wonder tool because it's the round nose pliers, flat nose pliers, and cutters all in one. So kind of beware. You also need to watch out for some of the pointed flat nose have a cutter in there as well. So make sure you're not using that to hold something because it'll cut your project in half. But these work well if there's no other round nose pliers. These aren't my favorite, but they can be used to do all of those things as well. So you have the round nose, your flat, and the cutters all in one. Some safety things with the wire. One thing is anytime we're cutting the wire, you want to use your hand to cover it. It can shoot across the room. Depends on the cutters and how sharp they are, but there have been times when we cut wire and if somebody wasn't covering it, you could hear it hit the wall, which means it could also hurt someone. So anytime you're cutting your wire, okay, pretend I want to cut this off, you're going to cup it with your hand, cut it, and then catch it in your hand. Sometimes you'll even feel it hit the side. It just depends on the cutters, but that's one thing we really want to be mindful of. The other thing is to make sure you're watching both ends of the wire. Most of the time when you get wire for class, it'll be longer than this, and your neighbor is sitting right next to you. Just watch out that you're not poking someone in the eye or jabbing someone. So just be mindful when you have wire, what's happening with it. But that is what you need to know for starting wire.